right, good morning, everybody. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. We are delighted today to host our senator, the Majority Leader of the United States Senate, Senator Chuck Schumer. Let me begin by acknowledging the presence of a few other elected officials and some special guests who have joined us. We're joined by our Assembly Member John McDonald.
Thomas opened up a pharmacy in downtown Troy.
Well, he's here enough. And from Troy City Council, we have our Council President Carmela Mantello, Majority Leader Sue Steele, Emily Nen representing District 4, the district we're in now, Kiani Conley Wilson, who is just coming up the driveway now, we'll embarrass her, and Steve Figueroa from District 2. Did I miss any other city council members?
Thank you. Sorry, I'm late.
And from the Rensselaer County Legislature, we have Carol Weaver, Mark Fleming, Nina Nichols, and Ken Zaleski. They all represent the city of Troy on the county legislature. We're also grateful to be joined by the president of Russell Sage College, Dr. Christopher Ames. He is a neighbor of this project right on the other side of that fence, so he is delighted to see this moving forward. We're also joined by the newly minted president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Dr. Martin Schmidt. We're also joined by Deb Witkowski, who is the president of the Housing Authority, along with Tom Houlihan, who's the director of planning and program development. Also joining us is Kate Manley, the president of the Rensselaer County Regional Chamber of Commerce. Gail Catalino from Troy Rehabilitation and Improvement Program. Catherine Maciol, the CEO of CEO. And my Deputy Mayor, Chris Nolan. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I did, you can yell at me afterwards. Senator Schumer has been a long champion of the city of Troy, assisting us in countless ways over the years, including most recently equipment and staffing for our fire department, as well as the reconstruction of our seawall. For all of that, we are extremely grateful. Without his ongoing support, we would not have been able to accomplish as much as we have over the past several years. In his role as Majority Leader, however, Senator Schumer is in the unique position to influence programs which impact the nation as a whole. He has wielded that influence to create programs that address the needs of those who are most negatively impacted by COVID and its lingering economic fallout, including the escalating heating and energy costs, which are predicted to cause considerable challenges this winter. I'll get a little closer. The senator was instrumental in creating the ARPA program. As far back as April or May in 2020, he foresaw the inevitable economic impact on communities across the country. And he started building the terms of that program and the support necessary to bring it to fruition. Which brings us to today. Working with the Troy Housing Authority, the city has allocated $3 million of ARPA funds to assist the Housing Authority in removing new structures behind it, thereby paving the way for more modern, energy-efficient apartments, creating a healthier living environment for those of our residents with lower incomes. This redevelopment will change lives for generations to come. I am proud of the work of the Housing Authority, and both my administration and the City Council are delighted to partner with them on this redevelopment effort. This would not have been possible without ARPA funding. And ARPA would not have been possible without Senator Schumer's vision and leadership. As we move into fall and the colder months ahead, many people are rightly concerned about utility costs. For too many among us, tough decisions lie ahead. Heat or food, heat or prescriptions. That's an immoral calculus and a shameful reality in our country, with all its wealth and promise. Sensitive to the plight of so many in our country, the Senator has rightly turned his sights on this looming crisis with the same fervor and commitment as he did with ARPA. I will defer to him to speak to the details of his thinking on this, but I will note he will need our help to make this reality. With gratitude for all that the Senator has done, not just for Troy, but for the working people across this nation, it gives me great pleasure to turn over to the podium now to our senior senator and the majority leader of the United States Senate, Senator Chuck Schumer.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much. Great to be back here in Troy with more good news and more help for Troy. We love the city of Troy, and it's a great place. I want to thank our great Mayor, Patrick Madden, who's done such a good job. You know, I remember when I first became senator, the way downtown Troy looked and the way it looks today. And it's an amazing, amazing change. And I thank him and his predecessors for the great job that they have done in that regard. Downtown Troy, downtown Schenectady, and downtown Albany all are a lot better in the last 20 years. And I'm really proud that I've been able to contribute to all three. I want to thank Carmela Mantello for being here, the president of our council, keeping this a bipartisan meeting, and that's how it should be, and that's very, very important. I also want to thank all the members of the Troy City Council and the county legislature for being here. Our great assembly member, John McDonald, who's been a friend of mine and a compatriot, doing many things on both sides of the river for many years to come, and a great community pharmacist. I was only joking about that. As well as Tom Houlihan from the Director of Planning for the Troy Housing Authority, who is here, and you'll hear from him as well. So we're here for two reasons. I'm going to speak about three things. First two are about Troy, then I want to say a few words about the damage in Puerto Rico. For those of you from the TVs, the New York City TVs wanted me to say something, so you could send it down to them. But first, we're here for two reasons, but one goal: housing. Two reasons. One, the building behind us, which will be no more, and second, the great need for heating assistance in these coming winter months with the price of heating oil and going way, way up. So let me talk first about housing. Troy told me that they needed affordable housing, which is clearly true. I listened, to the tune of $4 million. These two vacant buildings behind me have been an eyesore for the community for decades, a blight on the skyline of Troy. And the cities wanted to remove them for years, but it's expensive. And in a smaller city like Troy, you don't have the dollars, the $4 million to just take out of the budget, take away from fire or police or community activities or whatever. And so I knew that I had to roll up my sleeves and act. And it's my pleasure to announce that this demolition is now underway, and it's 100% federally funded. Not one nickel from the taxpayers of Troy or Rensselaer County, because of the money we were able to get. In the American Rescue Plan, $3 million and $1 million that HUD delivered to the Troy Housing Authority. Now, thanks to the funding I secured, the site will be transformed into a home for 140 units of energy-efficient, affordable housing. 140 families are going to get a lot better lives because of what we're able to build there. When I passed the American Rescue Plan, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just the big, huge cities that gobbled it all up. So I made sure that places like Troy would be entitled to funding and be able to have flexibility to invest in long overdue projects like this that would accelerate the economic revitalization of the city and of downtown. So I really want to thank the mayor, I want to thank our city council, for using the funding in such a smart, important, and pound for the dollar, bang for the buck way. And I'm proud to be here that this project is now fully underway to give Capital Region families homes that they need. Now, reason 2 for my visit. As you probably saw, the Times-Union. Here we go, Times-Union. Other papers can take the picture. Troy Record, you can take the picture. But the Times-Union headline, health bill hikes sending shivers. And they say that National Grid says that a 5-month cost to heat your home will go up about 39% or $50 a month in the capital region. That is enough to send shivers down people's spine, as the headline has said. Okay? Right now, there are no dollars there is a federal program used to help it. It's called HEAP. Okay? And it's Heating Assistance Program. And it goes to help those who can't afford that extra $50, who will have to either turn the thermostat down, or not buy pharmaceutical drugs, or not buy food, or school supplies for the kids. It mainly affects senior citizens because seniors are on a limited income. If you're working and you just got a raise, you say, oh, hell, $50 is a lot, but at least I can afford it. But if you're on a flat income as a senior citizen, you say, where am I going to get these $50? I'm already stretched on pharmaceuticals and on other things. With us today, we're going to hear from 2 Rensselaer County residents who have utilized the HEAP program in the past. Kathy Baker, where's Kathy? Thank you. And Beverly Hickman. Where's Beverly? Thank you both for coming. We'll hear from you in a minute. Just talk from the heart. Don't worry. Don't be nervous. But in any case, that's why we're here. I am here to announce I'm going to engage in the upcoming budget, which we're going to vote on in a couple of weeks, a new push for an extra $1 billion in the temporary budget bill and billions more in the full funding bill that we're going to do in December, $4 billion more, to make sure that this HEAP fund has enough money as the winter comes upon us. Sure that Capital Region families don't have to stress every time they touch the thermostat. Should I move it up? Should I move it up? I'm cold. I got 3 sweaters on, but I need a little more heat. I'm worried to do it when heating oil is heating is so expensive. The pot is called HEAP, as I said, the Home Energy Assistance Program. Now, how we get here? How could we face, as the Times-Union reported a few days ago, heating bills skyrocketing by over a third? 2 reasons it happened: COVID and climate change. We all know the pandemic still is wreaking, even though it's declined dramatically in the number of illnesses, deaths, thank God. It's still wreaking havoc on our supply chains across the globe, and it's impacting every industry. The shutdown of the global economy, or the advance of the global economy, is not at the pace that we need. The waves of supply and demand fluctuations translate into costs and inflation. Home heating is one of those victims. More importantly, but also, it's also because, as you know, of climate change, and the whole heating market gets discombobulated when different places need different amounts of energy at different times. Okay? So, what can the federal government do? We can pass this HEAP program. Last year, 57,000 Capital Region households, so that's more than 57,000 people, but 57,000 households tapped roughly $40.4 million into home energy assistance. This year, families into the Capital Region and upstate New York could tap into more. And the feds need to be ready for it. Let me give you some statistics. Last year, in Albany County, 19,000 plus households received assistance, and another 1,000 received emergency assistance. Here in Rensselaer County, 11,300 received home assistance, and another 2,000 emergency assistance. In Saratoga County, 14,000 received energy assistance and another 3,000 emergency. And in Schenectady County, 12,000 received home energy assistance and 848 emergency. Okay? So we need to pass this. The fund has no money. My goal is to fund an appropriation for $4 billion and add an additional $1 billion immediately so people can get the money. You may remember a few years ago we ran out of money in about February and people were stranded. We had to rush to put more in. This year I tried to make sure that that is not going to happen, and as majority leader I get to do that. And you know, years ago the Department of HHS created this program. It used to be tougher to get it through. It was never a political issue. Democrats and Republicans in the North both supported it, and Democrats and Republicans in the South who didn't have heating didn't. And we got smart. We added air conditioning. So now, both parties in both parts of the country like this program. So I'm very hopeful we can get this done. Very hopeful we can get this done. Again, no family should have to choose between putting heating on their home or food for their family. No senior should have to choose between shivering or purchasing the pills they so desperately need. And it also helps our state economy as well. There's another part of the program that allows you to weatherize your home, so your heating bills go down in the long run. And that's an important thing as well. And there's much more information which I will give to our legislators, and of course my office knows as well. Okay? Every dollar in heat produces $1.13 in economic activity, so it makes a huge difference. Okay? According to a report, and one of the other things that happened, many of our homes here in upstate New York and in the capital region were built a long time ago. So they're not insulated, because in those days, home heating oil, gas, whatever you heat your home with, electricity costs next to nothing. That ain't true anymore, unfortunately. And so that's why this is also as important as well. Okay? Okay. So that's the story on that. One more point I'd like to make about the housing, a general point. We always used to complain in New York that we sent more money to Washington than we get back. But having the majority leader makes a big difference. So this year was the first year, for every dollar New York sent to Washington, we got $1.59 back. So we got a lot more money back than we got there. Okay? Now, I want to read something I want to say something, if I have my paper here, about Puerto Rico. I don't think it's here. Did you print it out or give me my iPad? I'll get it from there. Who's got my iPad? All right, I'll talk about Puerto Rico after we hear from our speakers here, okay? So our first speaker is Tom Houlihan, who's the Director of Planning for the Troy Housing Authority. Tom.
Thank you very much, Senator. On behalf of Sue Steele, our board chair, and Deborah Wachowski, our executive director, and all of the board of the Troy Housing Authority, I want to say we are very grateful to Senator Schumer, Mayor Madden, and the City of Troy for providing us with the American Rescue Plan Act funds needed to take these buildings down. We've been trying to do it for many, many years, as the Senator mentioned. We just didn't have the funds, and finally, the funds came available to us. The demolition of these buildings and the replacement of this great building will be a catalyst for transforming John P. Taylor Apartments into high-quality, affordable housing so that persons of all income levels can have a home in Troy's historic and vibrant downtown. The new buildings being developed will be a welcoming addition to this gateway into the city that will complement the downtown and reconnect residents and visitors to the waterfront. Regarding the heating costs that Senator Schumer mentioned, tenants in Taylor Apartments are fortunate to have the heating of their apartments subsidized. However, we are aware of numerous people in our tenant-based voucher program who pay for their own heat and are very concerned about the reported increase in winter heating costs this year. The enhancements of the Home Energy Assistance Program HEAP that Senator Schumer mentioned will be a significant resource to people we serve in our affordable housing programs. People like our guests, Kathy Baker and Beverly Hickman, who we're going to hear from very shortly. Again, I want to me, the Senator and the Mayor, on behalf of the Troy Housing Authority, along with our development partner Penrose, Dylan Sammons from Penrose is here today, for making this possible and helping us transform these buildings into this building. Thank you again.
As I said, the 1-2 punch for housing. $4 million federal dollars to tear this down, and I'm going to get $1 billion in the immediate budget, $4 billion in the long-term budget for this HEAP program. Otherwise, we'll run out of money, and people in the capital region will really have to make awful choices this winter. Okay, now we have two of our beneficiaries from the HEAP program from last time. Beverly, Kathy, come on up. Wow, beautiful. You want to go first?
Go first.
Kathy's nervous. Just speak from the heart.
Okay, I am too.
It'll be good.
Come on up. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. All the accolades are made. Good morning, everyone. I am so honored to be here. I definitely want to thank you, Senator Schumer. Your service, I watch you on the news. You're fantastic. Your passion is wonderful. To our Mayor, Patrick Madden, and to our Deputy Mayor, Chris Nolan, thank you for this opportunity. And so many times I've been down there bugging them, and they still love me. So with the HEAP Assistant Program, and from my experience working in the community as well as having to receive it when in need, from an infant to a senior, this service eases our concerns with making decisions what comes first. It's just like the chicken and the egg. Shelter costs, or pay your light bill. And for a renter, it's even more traumatic because when you do not have utility, you cannot afford it, the landlord is forced to evict you. So now you're creating trauma on that family, and again, high cost for New York State to pay to assist that family to move somewhere else. So why not here? Excuse me. And so now I ask the question from you, Senator, and from you, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, or shelter or life? Thank you.
Say yes to both. Good job. Don't be nervous. Just speak from the heart.
I want to thank everybody for having me here today. I've been a participant in the Section 8 program for many, many years. I've slowly watched my bill increase, and I personally have had to make the choice: pay my Medicaid spend down so I can get my medicine, or pay my power bill in full. Niagara Mohawk says that they work with our National Grid. Sorry, they say I know I am. They say they're willing to work with people of low income, but the second that you can't meet their strict guidelines, they'll shut you off. And as she said, a landlord has the right to throw you out. And we badly need this program, not just in Troy, but in all in New York State, because the National Grid is really just gouging everybody. And somebody needs to put a cap on it. I brought my bills. My bills have actually tripled since 2020. And that's just a devastating cost for somebody who's single, by themselves, trying to make a Social Security check, pay everything. It's just too much. And at this point, I'd like to ask you, can we put a cap on the National Grid?
We certainly have to look into them and the PSC and other groups to make sure everything's on the up and up. I agree with that.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Was she good? They both good. You did a great job. Both of you did great jobs. Okay. Now I'm going to say a few words on Puerto Rico and the crisis there. Then we'll take questions on these two subjects, then Puerto Rico. Okay? So, first, as everyone knows, last Hurricane Fiona made landfall in Puerto Rico on Sunday afternoon. Winds of 85 miles an hour, catastrophic flooding, power outage, the whole island is out of power. They still haven't recovered from Hurricane Maria and all the other tragedies, earthquakes and other things that befell them in the last few years. Ahead of the storm's landfall, President Biden approved an emergency disaster declaration for Puerto Rico, allowing federal funds, as they flow to anywhere else, to flow for emergency protective measures. The declaration of the feds covers 75% of the cost: medical care, disaster operations, purchase of food, water, ice, and medicine. FEMA's relief fund, where those dollars will flow from, I made sure it has $15 billion in the FEMA Emergency Relief Fund, so there's enough money. So I just am here, I've let FEMA know. I want those funds to flow to Puerto Rico ASAP, as quickly as possible. People are suffering. It's an untenable situation. Lives are at stake. When there's no electricity, no way to get food, no way to get medicine, we need to move very quickly. And so I stand by to help Puerto Rico recover from the storm and protect our fellow Americans and people of Puerto Rico are American citizens as they rebuild strong. Okay? That's on Puerto Rico. Okay. Now on the two housing issues first. Anybody? Yes, Larry.
Is the root cause of the high prices of heating, is there anything the federal government can do?
Yes. I mentioned earlier, the two greatest reasons are, one, all the supply chains disruption caused by COVID. And in the new bill we passed, the Science and Chips bill as well as the IRA bill, there are dollars and legislation to deal with these supply lines and straighten them out as quickly as possible. Another thing we did is we passed the American Shipping Act, which used to be the cost of sending things across the ocean was 1,000% higher than it was pre-COVID. We brought those down. So those are some of the things we can do. Any more on this subject? Yes, Dan.
Senator, how do you go about prioritizing which projects get the federal money? Is it contingent on what the local elected officials
Yes,
ask for?
I believe it's not my job to tell Troy what it needs, but my job to listen to what Troy needs and then get the dollars for it. Obviously, it has to meet federal criteria. Obviously, you want to make sure the money's spent where the locality says it's going to be spent. But I have great faith in this administration that once they ask for something, it's very much needed.
Does every request get a response?
Every request gets a response, but not a positive response. No, seriously, Dan. So first, we have more requests than money. And second, some of them are not very good. You don't want to waste money. Yes. And I asked our council member, she complimented me on my green tie. I complimented on her magenta jacket. But then I asked her if she had magenta socks. Because green socks.
You know, I have the shoes. So downtown Troy is poised to be a leader in New York State for municipal geothermal, which gives us the opportunity for energy independence.
Yes.
Integrating technology that's simple but keeps good working collar jobs here.
Yep.
And
In
New York.
Yep.
And this neighborhood is poised to be our phase 2 project.
Okay. In the IRA bill, there is lots of help, federal aid for geothermal, because we think it has tremendous promise.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'll help you. I'll help Troy if you're interested. Try to access some of those dollars.
I'm happy to take a check.
Well, you heard what I said to Dan. We've got to make sure it's all good. Okay. Any others on either the housing or on heat? Okay. Puerto Rico, any questions? Any others? Yes. Okay, we have a delegation letter. I'll send it to you. Okay? Yes.
President Biden recently said that he believes the pandemic is over. Do you share those sentiments?
Look, here's what I say. I didn't hear what President Biden said, so I'm not commenting directly on his comments. Look, we all want to go back to normal. I think that's really important. But we also have to be vigilant that another pandemic doesn't come or this one doesn't spread.
And recently,
That's my answer.
reportedly, you have said that you expect to lose Congress in this fall election.
No.
Do you still believe that, or?
Okay, what I said is at this moment, I think there's a 60% chance we keep the Senate and a 40% chance that we keep the House. But I think by Election Day, we're going to keep the House and keep the Senate.
Do you think
That's the last one. That's all. Next. Yes.
Your reaction to Sean Patrick Maloney asking about the marriage equality bill, why the Senate doesn't
Okay, let me just say, the two leaders on marriage equality, Tammy Baldwin and Kirsten Sinema, said they tried to get the 10 Republican votes we needed. We didn't have them, but they believe, they're quite certain that after election time we would. So there are leaders on this, and they've made the decision, and I will back their decision. Okay, thank you, everybody. Yes.